Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We'll be discussing Arsenal's early statement victory over Villa. We'll discuss Chelsea's attacking display as they were able to get 6 past the Wolves to defeat them 6-2. We'll talk about Real Madrid defeating Valladolid 3-0. We'll talk about Liverpool defeating Brentford and then their reported heavy interest in pursuing Chiesa. And make sure you stick around for the end of the show where I'll be giving you my top headlines, where I'll be giving you my reaction to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. Before we start off though, if you've got a question during the show, we want to hear it. Your input is a big part of what makes the show great. And we thrive on your energy and insight, whether it's a quick comment, a thoughtful question, or an opinion you just have to share. Don't hesitate to drop it in the chat. Now, if you want to make absolutely sure your message stands out and gets featured on the show, there's an easy way to do that. Use the super chat feature. Just click the $ at the bottom of the chat box to send in your super chat. This guarantees that your message gets on the air, and it's also a fantastic way to support our channel. We rely on your support to keep bringing you the sports content you love, and we appreciate every bit of it. So go ahead, let us know what you're thinking, hit that super chat button, and let's keep the show as interactive and exciting as possible. And if you prefer, you can also go to the gsmcpodcast.net to tip, donate, and leave a comment or question there. We couldn't do what we do without your amazing support, and we're so thankful to have you as part of our community. Arsenal were able to get an early statement victory over Aston Villa. The definition of an early season statement was this game. Arsenal were able to put on a statement after going up against their not rivals, because they're not rivals historically, but a team that have gotten the better over them last season, defeating them 2 times at Villa away and the Emirates. Villa getting 2 wins against them. Arsenal went on to lose the league by 2 points. So you can see how those 2 losses were extremely critical. Out of the 5 losses that Arsenal had all in their entire Premier League campaign, 2 of them were against Aston Villa. So we know the sort of tension between these two, and you know how Aston Villa have been able to get the better of them. But this time around, Arsenal are able to go to Villa, go against a quality team on their pitch, and they were able to come up victorious 2-0 behind goals from Trossard in the 67th minute, which was literally his first kick of the game, and then Thomas Partey's second goal in the 77th minute, which you can say was a mistake from it was a mistake from Emiliano Martinez for a goalkeeper of his standard and what we know of him. Miss a goal that he should never let in. It's a poor mistake. He's still a brilliant goalkeeper, but that should never have gone in. And yeah, it's able to clinch the deal for Arsenal in a game that it was a really good game. I feel like it could have won either way, to be honest. I thought it was a pretty tight, even game, and it really came down to, in my opinion, who was able to get that, who was able to break that deadlock first. I thought it was tight even. I thought in the first half it was really tight. I think in the second half, Aston Villa, they gradually started getting a little bit more confident. They were playing a few balls in together. They were creating a few opportunities here and there. Then they had that big opportunity with Ollie Watkins, the double save from David Raya that kept Arsenal in it. Really, the moment of the match that allows what happened in the 67th minute. Trossard gambling, being at the right place at the right time, picking up a right pocket of space around the 18-yard box, and it was a great finish on the first touch, just nestling it into the corner off of a cross. I believe the cross came in from Saka. I think it was Saka the cross came in from. I may be mistaken, but being at the right place, right time, being able to, on the first touch of the game, nestle it into the corner. out of the reach of Emiliano Martinez. It was a great finish, and from there on, we just knew, okay, Arsenal. This was Arsenal's moment, and then they were only going to kick on from there. And then they started picking up a little bit more confident. And then, it didn't seem like, once they got that goal, it didn't seem like Aston Villa legitimately had a shot to get back into the game. And then 77th minute came, and then there was that opportunity from Thomas Partey. He takes a strike, mistake by Debo Martinez, and essentially game set match for Arsenal. And for me, it was a statement victory because, this time, look, this game did not go that differently from that Villa-Arsenal game that happened a few months ago at the Emirates that essentially cost Arsenal the league title game. It was a pretty tight, even game in the first half. Second half, Aston Villa, they gradually picked up a little bit more momentum, moving the ball, started creating a few opportunities, looked lively. I saw it even in this game compared to, even in this game, especially in that game, but also in this game, they had that moment in the second half that Villa started, springing balls from one end to the other. They were very, very confident. They were creating a few good opportunities. We saw that in this game and in the game in the Emirates. The only difference was in the game against the Emirates, Aston Villa were able to take advantage. They finally got one. They were able to take advantage. They were able to get the breakthrough, and they were the ones that looked comfortable after that goal. In this case, Aston Villa did not take the opportunity. Arsenal were able to keep themselves in there, defend for their lives, keep themselves in it, relied on a crucial save from David Raya, and when the opportunity came, they were able to pounce on it. That's what a champion does, whenever they're going up away against a difficult team, away, you're not, it's going to be difficult to go and just dominate them and beat them 4-5-0. It's unrealistic. But what you do is you keep yourself afloat, you keep it tight, you keep everything, in front of you. You keep the game tight. You don't lose the game early. And when you get an opportunity, you pounce on it. You take advantage of it. And Leandro Trossard, I'll tell you what, off the bench, he's been an absolutely killer for Arsenal. Very, very clutch, getting important goals and important moments. And that was another important goal. And the way he did it, not having a touch in the game before that, just an absolutely brilliant finish to give them the lead. And look, if you talk about in terms of general performance, was Arsenal scintillating? No, I wouldn't say that. I'd say Aston Villa were, slightly had better periods. I think overall, in terms of the stretch, in terms of overall of the game, I would say Arsenal were maybe slightly better. Especially after they were able to get that opening goal. I think then they were able to turn it on and they were to play more confident, more loosely. But there was periods in the game that Aston Villa dominated a lot more than Arsenal ever dominated in any period in the game. There were periods that of Aston Villa created some very good opportunities, specifically that first, that 50th to 65th minute. That first 15 minutes of the second half, first 15-20 minutes, I thought Aston Villa had first 25 minutes. First 25 minutes of the first half, I thought Aston Villa had a real opportunity to be able to find that breakthrough. But again, they didn't. They missed, Watkins missed a good opportunity. Then he missed another. That double save from David Raya, that's absolutely incredible. The first save is a good save. Then the second game, off instinct, off the rebound, in close range. I mean, it's an absolutely brilliant save. And people want to say, oh, it's down the middle. I mean, he had to dive to his right-hand side, quickly get up and make that save. Even if it's down the middle, that's the save of the week. That's save of the season so far. That double save is absolutely incredible. And David Raya, he's been up, he's not been up under pressure or anything, but he has not been the most accepted in terms of Arsenal goalkeepers initially because of what Ramsdale was to Arsenal fans and what he was coming into the club, and sort of being kicked out backside. It took David Raya a little bit to, win the trust of the fans. But I think after that sort of save, I think that's the changing point in terms of David Raya at this club. I think this club is gonna start accepting him. Now the fans have already started accepting him. Well, when I say the club do accept him. I mean the fans. It took them a little bit to really accept David Raya as their own. But after the defensive record Arsenal had last year, specifically in that second half of the season, and then this big save that's gonna be crucial for them down the line. I think he's really gonna be. The fans are really gonna be on his back. I will say individually performances. I think the standout player probably had to be Morgan Rogers, honestly, for Villa. Extremely good, great ball carrier, strong, has muscle, has pace, has technical ability in terms of being able to get past the man. Really dominated Declan Rice and Thomas Partey for the entire game, and it was really a focal point in terms of how Aston Villa were able to create their opportunities. I thought Onana also played a very, very good game. I will say for Arsenal, I thought Partey, despite defensively looking a little bit knackered, trying to limit Morgan Rogers, I thought his ability on the ball to control and dictate tempo was really good. I thought in terms of the attacking three, weren't really front fire, and I didn't think Havertz, Saka, and Martinelli really looked that smooth, to be honest. They did all put in shifts, but they didn't really look like the smooth, cohesive front three that I was expecting. Defensively, I thought there was a few moments that they were a little bit lack of concentration, a little sloppy, but they protected the goal. They kept the clean sheet. At the end of the day, they were a little sloppy, but they still defended really, really well, and they didn't allow a goal. They allowed, a few opportunities, and then their goalkeeper came up big for them. But overall, I thought Arsenal had a decent game, and then I thought Aston Villa, they had their moments, they had their opportunities. The difference between this game and the game at the Emirates is when this game around, when they had the momentum, they couldn't take advantage of it and get that goal. When they played Arsenal at the Emirates a few months ago, they were able to get that breakthrough whenever they started gaining confidence and started playing. They weren't able to do that today, and they don't come out with the 3 points, and they don't come out with anything. And again, it's a great win for Arsenal. Reading the stats from the game, Aston Villa had 11 shots to 9 shots for Arsenal, 3 shots on target for Villa to 4 shots on target for Arsenal, 39% possession for Villa for 61% possession for Arsenal. And yeah, it's a statement victory for the Gunners. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll discuss Chelsea being able to get 6 past Villa. Or not Villa, Wolverhampton.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
before the break, we talked about Arsenal getting that victory over Villa. We move on to discuss Chelsea's attacking dominance as they're able to beat Wolves 6-2. Crazy game, huh? 6-2. We had a hat trick for Noni Madueke that actually came within 14 minutes. João Felix was able to come on and get his goal since his return to Chelsea. Nicholas Jackson got on the score sheet early in the second minute for Chelsea, and then Cole Palmer comes up with another wonderful moment out of nothing, being able to chip the goalkeeper from way out. I don't know exactly how much it was in terms of meters, but it was a very long chip. Did it sort of on the half volley as well. Nicholas Jackson getting a wonderful assist as well on that. So, I mean, I'll have to say, overall, I mean, what a game from Chelsea. I mean, I'm a little bit stunned at the performance, I have to lie. I did not see this coming whatsoever. We're all on the low over what happened at Chelsea. Not just the opening day defeat to Manchester City, but what's been going on in terms of the transfers and just everything surrounding the club and the issues there. But I mean, if we're strictly talking about this performance, I thought it was a good performance. I thought look, as a Chelsea fan, I'm not gonna get too carried away. I know there was some big faults in this game as well, some issues, especially in that first half. But overall, in terms of the way we were able to attack, play, and transition, I thought the attack was simply brilliant and sensational. And in years past, we've had issues in terms of being able the end product, being able to get the ball in the back of the net. But last season we had a much more of improvement, and then now this season, being able to score 6 goals against Wolves in our second game of the season. I mean, look, that's you can't argue with that. That's brilliant, and I'm very, very pleased that our attack was able to generate those sort of chances and play the sort of style of play, because I thought it was very, very exciting. I thought the game was a basketball game, very end-to-end, a lot of attacking display, a lot of risk taking on both teams, sending guys forward, leaving spaces in behind during transition, and sort of playing a sort of no risk style of football I saw from both teams. And I thought it made it an entertaining and very fascinating game. And if you're a neutral watching that, you're a Chelsea fan, you're watching it, you're absolutely elated. But if you're a neutral watching that, you've watched one of the best games that you've seen in a very, very long time, because man, that was a ridiculous sort of a game. And I hope we get more games like that this season, because I loved enjoying that game, even as a Chelsea fan, because in the first half I'm not feeling that great about the team going into 2, especially in that first half. Chelsea could have conceded 4 or 5 goals. I mean, Wolves had plenty of opportunities, and I thought in the first half Wolves were the better team. I thought Wolves created more. We took advantage of an early opportunity and set pieces. Then we were kind of put on the back foot, and Wolves were the ones that were generating a lot of opportunities, a great deal of opportunities. They get their breakthrough. They were able to equalize on a ball played in by Honore. Bad defending from Malo Gusto, in my opinion, who sort of lets Matheus Cunha sort of drift behind him with Malo Gusto doesn't look at his back shoulder at all, trying to facing Nori, who plays in a great ball into Cunha. And then, it seemed like, if anyone were able to get that second goal before half, it was Wolves. Wolves were the one that was a little bit more on the attacking display, but Chelsea go a little bit direct, play that long ball, into Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson is able to win it. And when Nicholas Jackson is able to win it, plays in a nice ball on the first touch into Cole Palmer's path, who's able to loft it in above the goalkeeper. A great sort of finish. And I'll say Cole Palmer, I did sort of wonder, can Cole Palmer replicate what he's done last season? So far, so good. I mean, what a game. Getting that sort of goal that he scored. And by the way, this is not the first time Cole Palmer has pulled out that sort of wonder sort of goal. This chip. He had a crazy chip last season. He had that sort of nutmeg and able to drive it, curling in his left foot. He's able to score these sort of, wow sort of goals, these X factor sort of moments. Cole Palmer has it. And to be able to score that goal, I mean, that's an absolute brilliant display. And then on top of that, what he did in the second half, getting 3 assists. But yeah, he's able to score that goal. It makes it 2-1. And then you're thinking, okay, now if you're thinking you're Chelsea, 2-1, you get the lead so late, just see it out, take it to halftime and regroup. Because, Chelsea were a little bit on the back foot. And being able to go into 2-1 would have been great for Chelsea, despite, Wolves being able to get the opportunity that they were able to create. But then at the end of the half, set piece opportunity, Wolves take advantage of it. They playing the ball in, and someone heads it across the 6-yard box, and Wolves were able to tap it home through I believe it was through Larson, Jurgen Strand Larson. That makes it 2-2, and you're thinking as a Chelsea fan, like, wow. Really, we conceded at the end of the half 2-2, which is always a bad time to concede. And I'm thinking, we really could be down 4-5-2. I mean, that's how much opportunities we allowed in the first half. And I don't think Wolves were much better than Chelsea in the first half, no. But I do think they created more good opportunities, and they had periods that they were, that they were better. And then Chelsea came in the second half. They looked a little bit more smooth. They looked a lot more dangerous in transition. They got the final ball right. They didn't make mistakes playing out like they did in the first half. And then you saw the magic of Cole Palmer being able to create. Noni Madueke being direct, being vertical, providing end product, scoring in the 49th, 58th, 63rd minute. And Noni Madueke, by the way, that was a little bit under fire from the Wolverhampton supporters because of that post he had on social media the day before, talking about how boring Wolverhampton is essentially, and him getting those 3 goals, just doing something that we haven't seen much at Chelsea over these past few years. Element of directness from our wingers, being able to take on the defender and try to get a shot off, and displaying end product. And that's what we saw. We saw end product, and I mean, that's a great sign from Madueke, because we need that from our wingers. We need our wingers to be able to score the goals, because we don't have that sort of striker that's able to get in 25 goals a season. We don't have that sort of player. We don't have a clinical finisher up there. We have sort of a man that can stretch a back line and that can make it difficult for a defense in terms of his pace, but he's not going to be able, he's not going to get 20 goals a season at this point in his career. He's just not there yet. So yeah, Madueke, those 3 goals, absolutely brilliant. And then we took advantage of another transition opportunity, and then it was João Felix. It was just a perfect day for Chelsea. The celebrations were amazing. I thought the way we counterattack was ruthless. I haven't seen that sort of element from Chelsea, that ruthless nature in terms of being able to clinically counterattack the way we did, with the pace, with the energy, with some spirit, with some belief, and with the speed that we were able to play. And it was absolutely brilliant. That counterattack in that second half was absolutely devastating, and that's a brilliant thing, because we know, we've heard from Enzo Maresca, and we even watching Manchester City, we know this tic-tac sort of way is boring to watch, and it's really difficult to watch, in my opinion, at certain times. But if we're able to play like this, if we're able to be devastating like this on the counterattack, and be able to take advantage of runners and play with this sort of speed, man, it's going to be a great watch, and we're going to be a team to be very, very difficult to defend against, because Madueke, what he was able to do today, Cole Palmer, Pedro Neto coming in, Nkunku, even Nicholas Jackson, just because of his pace. There is ability in that attacking display. And it was absolutely great. Now the downside is defensively, we looked knackered in certain moments. We allowed runners in behind, and we just looked vulnerable at certain times defensively. And then again, we made too many mistakes playing easy balls, trying to play out of the back. Those are the concerns. Those are some not major concerns, but those are concerns, especially the mistakes in terms of playing out of the back. Though that's a pretty big concern, and that's something we need to improve on. But I think Maresca, he has his way, and he's in this Chelsea team, they're gonna have to get the mistakes out until they eventually get it, and which I don't mind that sort of philosophy from him. I think I think they need to continue on with what Enzo Maresca is preaching them to do, and they just need to get the mistakes out, to suffer the mistakes so they can learn from it, they can be better, and they can finally develop that sort of way of trying to play out and, being clean in it. I think it's only with practice and experience that they're able to get it down. I think the one thing I would say, though, the major concern here. Oh, also another positive thing is Cole Palmer playing through the middle. Keep him in the middle, Keep him as a number 10. His creativity, his ability is not just being able to score goals, which he's still able to do as the number 10 position we saw today, but also what he's able to do, what his ability makes him great at, is his ability to be able to create for players other than himself, be able to create for his teammates. And what he specifically those 3 assists he had to Madueke, or the 3 assists he had in the game. Yeah, I think those are 3. He had the 3 assists all to Madueke, yeah. We need that. We need him playing there. I will say the major downside of this is Mykhailo Mudryk's nightmare run at Chelsea continues. He was, again, woeful, horrible, and he hasn't put a foot right since he's gotten to Chelsea. And it's getting to the point that he's looking like a bust, which will be a devastating blow to Chelsea, because that's a lot of money spent on a player that, that's not going to work out. But the more and more I see it, I'm seeing signs from Madueke. I'm seeing signs from Caicedo. Even Enzo, I'm seeing some signs here and there, But Mykhailo Mudryk, it just seems like that has, completely fallen apart. And I worry for him. I don't think he will be able to turn around as Chelsea. He can't put a foot right. Let's just face it, for real. But other than that, good performance from Chelsea. But again, they've had good performances in the past. They need to build off of this and, be consistent. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll talk about Real Madrid defeating Real Valladolid.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Before the break, we talked about Chelsea's attacking dominance as they were able to defeat Wolves 6-2. We move on to talk about Madrid. They defeated Real Valladolid 3-0. This was their home opener of the season, playing at this Bernabeu, which, by the way, man, since the expansion, I mean, no, it's always been a great stadium, but since expansion, they were able to close the roof in this sort of a game. I believe it was hot. You know, I'm seeing the outside shot of it as the game is about to start. You know, they always show the outside shot of the stadium. Wow, it looks like looks like a machine of a stadium. It's unbelievable. I can't imagine the atmosphere playing with, you know, having all those fans in sort of a closed dome. I mean, you know, that's gonna be a great sight for the World Cup in 2030, and I assume that's gonna be the host, or not 20. Is it 2030 or 2034? Yeah, 2030. And I assume that stadium is probably gonna host the World Cup final. I would assume, and what a stadium it is. But yes, Real Madrid, they were able to get that victory against Valladolid. Federico Valverde was able to get the breakthrough for Real Madrid in the 50th minute. Brahim Diaz was able to get the second in the 80th minute, shortly followed by Endrick getting his first goal for Real Madrid in the 90th minute to win this game 3-0 and to get Real Madrid's first win of the season. You know, there's some storylines here. First of all, Brahim Diaz is a very good player, you know, and he's a left-footed player, which is a different, you know, provides a little bit more of a balance than what they've had in terms of having Rodrigo, Mbappe, Vinicius, Bellingham, who all are more right-footed players. Arda Güler, who started the game, also is has a brilliant left-footed sort of player that provided the balance when he came off and Brahim Diaz came on, which I'm surprised he was the one that got the start over Brahim Diaz. I thought Brahim Diaz was going to be the one to come in there. Both brilliant players, don't get me wrong, but yeah, you know, if you have, you know, if Brahim Diaz is your third option in that sort of Bellingham position, you have one heck of a team, I'll say, because Brahim Diaz is a brilliant player. But look, Real Madrid, they didn't really dominate the game by any stretch. I thought it was very, very stale and pretty unimpressive, especially in the first 50th minute. It took them not brilliant because it wasn't, I'd say brilliant, despite the deflection, sort of a brilliant breakthrough on a set piece on a free kick from Valverde to get the breakthrough in the 50th minute. And then, you know, they had the two stoppage time sort of goals to sort of clinch the game. Mbappe had an opportunity, a great opportunity in the 79th minute. He still has not got his first goal in La Liga, which has been a little bit of a conversation. Yeah, it was Brahim Diaz with a clever sort of chip on the left foot, a little bit more direct from Real Madrid, playing the ball in from the back in Brahim Diaz's stride, who kind of lofts it into the goalkeeper. Brahim Diaz has some real quality as well, which is why, you know, I thought he was going to be the one that started over Arda Güler, just because Arda Güler is a little, you know, I think Arda Güler has fantastic quality. We saw it at the European Championship, but he's the younger sort of player. Brahim Diaz is a player with a little bit more experience, has a little bit more on his resume, and, you know, was the one that, you know, generally was one of the more main options off the bench last season. But Carlo Ancelotti decides to go with Güler instead, which, you know, there's no right or wrong, but yeah, that was sort of the goal to complete to, you know, clean off the game. And then late in the game, the moment that a lot of people are talking about, Endrick was able to get his opportunity, and, you know, the shot power to be able to beat the goalkeeper near post in the position that he was able to shoot at. I'll tell you what, you know, his miniature nature, his pace that he has, his sort of, you know, knack for playing on the back shoulder of the center halves, trying to play in behind, his ability to make that one move, play with pace and then fire it. He reminds me a lot of Sergio Aguero. I think that's a very good comparison for him. He's exactly has sort of a miniature nature to him in terms of he's not the sort of, you know, striker that you see has 6'3", 6'4", has a body. No, Endrick is a little bit shorter, has that quick, twitchy sort of nature to him, and just moves very similarly and gets his shots off very similarly to the way Sergio Aguero does as well. So I do think Sergio Aguero is a very good comparison for Endrick. I think they are very, very similar players. But that gets their win for Real Madrid. Comfortable victory in the end. Wasn't really dominant. Wasn't really as impressive as I expected them to be. But again, they just needed the victory. They just needed the result to kick off their season. But yeah, I do think Mbappe's performance was a little bit concerning. Didn't dominate the game the way I expected him to. Hasn't yet really at Real Madrid since he's got there. He got that opening goal against Atalanta, but he didn't really take the game by the scruff of the neck, which I sort of excused him. I still called it a good performance in that opening game because it's his first game playing for Real Madrid. But now I do think the doorbell should ring just a little bit, because Mbappe really has not been the same sort of player, if you think about it, since the 2022 World Cup. He hasn't really had a consistent set of, run of performances since that 2022 World Cup. He was disappointed at the European Championships. He had an okay season at PSG last season. Since that 2022 World Cup, he hasn't been to that sort of level, which is not concerning, but it's something to look at. It's something to think about when you're thinking about Mbappe, when you're thinking about this Real Madrid team, especially with the fact that they're trying to fit Mbappe in a situation with Vinicius and Rodrigo, which is not exactly a easy puzzle sort of fix. This is a puzzle, a jigsaw with 1,000 pieces, and it's difficult to fit in three guys that generally play their best football playing on the left-hand side, cutting in onto the right foot. That's where they're all most comfortable playing. And but it will still remain to be seen. I think Real Madrid will still be fine in terms of they have real quality. Again, you're thinking with Bellingham being out, you have Brahim Diaz, but he still can't get in. It's Arda Güler, and then it's him. It just shows, the quality. And then we have Endrick, who hasn't really, we haven't talked about him at all since he's arrived at Madrid, because he's been overshadowed by Mbappe arriving at Real Madrid, and he comes on. I think this might be his first competitive appearance for Real Madrid. I don't know if he featured at all in their first two competitive matches. We can fact check that real quick, actually. So he did not participate in the Atalanta game. Let's see. And then they played Mallorca last week, right? They played Mallorca last week. Was he able to get on against Mallorca? No. So this is his competitive debut for Real Madrid, and it came at the Bernabeu, and he's able to get that goal. Good sign for him, and I think he's going to have sort of a bit part role into the season, but a great way for him to continue to get experience and develop. So yeah. But yeah, good results for Real Madrid. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll talk about Liverpool defeating Brentford and their reported heavy interest in Federico Chiesa.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Before the break, we talked about Real Madrid defeating Real Valladolid 3-0. We move on to talk about Liverpool. They have defeated Brentford 2-0 behind goals from Luis Diaz, and then second goal from Salah that came the 70th minute. to defeat Brentford 2-0 in their opening game at Anfield. This is Arne Slot's first home match at Anfield, and it started off, brilliantly for Liverpool. They took advantage of a set piece, not a set piece. It was a set piece actually, a set piece for Brentford. They took advantage of Brentford getting guys forward on a set piece. I believe Brentford had So Brentford had 7 guys in the box in an early set piece, and they had 9 guys, sort of around in and around the box. So you had 2 players sort of a yard outside of the box, and Liverpool were able to get a clearance from Konate, who sort of, if you're thinking about it, sort of has a bad clearance initially from Konate, because as a center half, as a defender, on a set piece, on a corner kick, you're always taught to head it, near the to not head it in the middle, to sort of head it towards either the touch line on either side, but he heads it sort of back in towards the middle, which is dangerous, because you can head it right into the path of a Brentford player, which could get you in all sort of trouble. But instead, I believe it was forgot what player it was. Instead, there was a player who won it. Who was it? Instead, it's Salah. Yeah, Salah was the one that won it. It was Salah. Salah was the one that won it, huh? Okay. But Konate, he wins the header. Heads it again, in my opinion, in a dangerous area. Gets lucky that no Brentford player is there. Salah is able to win sort of like a 50-50 duel that gets it right into Jota's path, and then you're 2-on-2. Jota plays in the ball in behind to Luis Diaz with pace. Luis Diaz is able to get that breakthrough. And again, with Jota, Luis Diaz, Salah, that pace, that sort of killer will that those guys have, they can be very devastating on the counter, and it was an absolutely brilliant counter attack, and that's kind of the way it is. Once that happens, Liverpool were kind of pretty comfortable from there on out. They controlled the possession, they played some good football, they had different units, routines in terms of being able to attack. We see the differences of Arne Slot team compared to a Jurgen Klopp team. They have a sort of, different way of going about it in terms of trying to get that breakthrough, a little bit less emphasis on pressing and more emphasis on being able to create in terms of just through general possession, still playing with the sort of, not playing slow sort of football, but playing with pace and energy and moving the ball quickly and having, really making runs with sort of dedication and effort. And yeah, I think Brentford, they had an opportunity in the 31st minute. It was a great opportunity off a set piece. But apart from that, couldn't create much from open play and really struggled to contain Liverpool in terms of, how fast they were moving the ball. I thought they struggled to get in around the ball. I think Liverpool had a few opportunities there to really make this game, not as close as what it was. But Brentford, they did have a few opportunities here and there. But overall, Liverpool, they just created so much. And that goal that came in the 70th minute, to be honest, it was coming for a little bit now, because Liverpool, they were able to create a lot of decent opportunities. They were able to get the ball in dangerous areas, move it from one end to the pitch to another, play fast sort of football. It was great to watch. It was good football all around from Liverpool. And then the moment came, the breakthrough sort of moment to find that second goal came from Mohamed Salah. I believe he received the ball from Luis Diaz. Nobody sort of watching on Salah's side, and then Salah is able to get in the goal. It's his second goal of the season as well. He is that X-Factor, killer will sort of player that not many teams have in the Premier League. And yeah, great win for Liverpool, great win for Arne Slot. We look at the statistics of this match. You have 19 shots for Liverpool to 8 shots for Brentford. 8 shots on target for Liverpool to 2 shots on target for Brentford. 63% possession for Liverpool to 37% possession for Brentford. And it's a great start because there's a relative unknown for Liverpool in terms of how they're going to look under Arne Slot. We did have a relative unknown, if we have to be fair. We didn't know how this team was going to look like. We didn't know if they were able to continue on the momentum that Jurgen Klopp had with this sort of new look Liverpool team last season. We didn't know if they were going to look as threatening in terms of being able to create the chances that they were able to create under Jurgen Klopp. We didn't really know what style of play we'll see, but I'll tell you what, Liverpool fans are excited now watching this because this is the sort of style of play that they love. This is not boring. This is not pragmatic. This is not sort of when you think about the Dutch football way, the 1,000 passes, tiki taka. I spoke about this podcast before the Overlap podcast where Benitez was on. We did a segment a few days ago talking about his comments on Gerrard being the best player he coached. He also had a statement saying tiki taka is a waste of time, and I wouldn't say it's a waste of time. I mean, Spain won the World Cup and with the greatest national team of all time playing tiki-taka. But tiki-taka has its flaws, and tiki-taka can be very, very boring sometimes. Sometimes passing the ball to death can be really, really, really boring. But this is not that. This is a very fast, they move the ball very, very fast. They're not afraid to take on a little bit of risk in terms of the pass choices, playing that ball in behind, moving it from one end to the pitch to another, moving it in a quick manner, not being slow with it. So, yeah, I'd say good performance for Liverpool. We do shift, though, to this Chiesa report. Federico Chiesa, who's been pushed out by Juventus. He's not involved in the Juventus sort of project under Thiago Motta. They've allowed him to seek permission. And Liverpool, they are considering a move for Chiesa. Obviously, the transfer deadline is this Friday. And they know that Chiesa is available. It's reported that his evaluation is only around, 14 million or so. There was rumors that Barcelona were gonna be able to snatch him up, but they weren't able to sort of, strike a deal. And now Liverpool are doing their sort of due diligence on Federico Chiesa. Chiesa, his contract expires at the end of the season. He's had, an ACL injury and never really been the same sort of player since he was at the European Championship in Euro 2020. But look, what he has done though, specifically at the European Championship, he has shown signs of being a brilliant player, a direct player. Has good end product, is able to take on a man and strike a ball, has real good ability in terms of, he's a sort of player similar to Salah, similar to Jeremy Doku, similar to Savinho, very direct, makes it a struggle for fullbacks to contain him one-on-one because of the pace and because of the ability and because of his directness. And he'll fit in sort of Liverpool. He'll be very similar player to Salah if he's able to play the way that he was, if he's able to get back to his best. But the player that we've seen at Juventus, since then, he's looked a little bit, he's not looked as, as threatening in terms of, in terms of attacking the fullbacks one-on-one. He doesn't scare fullbacks like he did before his downfall. He just doesn't play with that sort of confidence that he played with at the European Championship and before that. So, I think a change of scenery will be good for him. Sometimes that's all it takes, a change of scenery. And I do think if he's able to get that move to Liverpool, I do think it's a good move for him. I think it's also a good move for Liverpool because it's sort of low risk. You're not paying a crazy amount of money for him, but there's high reward there. If you're able to get back anywhere resemblance of the sort of player that Chiesa was at the European Championship, 13, 14, 15 million, that's going to be a bargain. So, I think this is a good move from both sides, to be honest, if they're able, to get it over the line. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to some of the top soccer headlines going on in the soccer world. before the break. We talked about Liverpool defeating Brentford and their reported heavy interest in Chiesa. We move on to discuss some of the top soccer headlines going on in the soccer world. And we'll start off with João Cancelo. We'll start off in a little bit of a somber mood. Actually, ex-England international manager Sven-Göran Eriksson has passed away, aged 76. It was revealed in January that he had been diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer. He passed away this Monday at his home. He's won 18 trophies in his career between 1977 and 2001, and he was the manager for England at the World Cup in 2002 and 2006, and also the European Championship in 2004. So condolences to his family, and he had a decorated career, winning 18 trophies, seeing the amount of quality players that he was able to manage over the years, not just in England but overall in his career. He was in charge of some really, really good teams, and he's coached all over. To be honest, when you look at, he's had stints as the manager of the Mexican national team, which I didn't even realize. I didn't even know till today. He managed Notts County. He was the manager of the Ivory Coast national team, which I also did not know till today. I did not know he had a period as an Ivory Coast manager. He managed Leicester City, China, and even the Philippines. So, condolences to his family, and he's a very great manager. Barcelona were able to clear up cap space, and they were able to register Dani Olmo. He's able to, in place of Andreas Christensen, who has suffered an injury. Dani Olmo, he's going to be able to make his debut against Rayo Vallecano after missing the first two La Liga games with the registration not being able to go through, the La Liga registration. Dani Olmo, he wasn't able to play. I just said this, but we know the issues in terms of Barcelona, in terms of the financial issues. Despite John Laporta trying to act like it's all rainbows and clear skies, at Barcelona there's some serious financial issues in the club. It's clearly evident in the fact that they're not able to register their new signing till the third week of the season. But now that Andreas Christensen suffered a long-term injury, it frees up space to be able to register him, and he's gonna be able to play for Barcelona. James Rodriguez, it's official. He has Rayo Vallecano has confirmed the transfer for him. It's great to see him back in sort of top flight football after that brilliant sort of run he had at Copa America. I'll love to see what he's able to do at Rayo Vallecano. Al Hilal, this is the big story of the game. They're closing in on being able to sign João Cancelo from City. The Portuguese international is gonna move to the Saudi Pro League. Is gonna be worth around 21 million euros, and the contract is gonna be worth around 15 million a year, 15 million euros a year for Cancelo, which is a lot of money, money that he can, a lot of money, generational wealth. He's now 30 years old, and he hasn't played for City for the last year and a half after after the falling out he had, which led to a loan at Bayern Munich and then later on a loan to Barcelona. He returned to training this summer, and it seemed like there was an opportunity maybe for him to sneak back into the team with some comments that Guardiola was making, but maybe looking back now, maybe that was just a way to sort of drive his value up, to so that they could, so Manchester City were able to get something for him, which 21 million, euros. That's not a horrible evaluation for a player. It's known that, João Cancelo in Manchester City is not a fit anymore because of the issues that happened. But yeah, he's gonna leave City. He played more than 150 games for them. He won 3 Premier League titles, and he's not exactly leaving Europe out of his prime. He still had a very good season for Barcelona, and he was a starter for Portugal at these sort of European championships. So, and he was very good for them at the European Championship. So I don't like when players move to Saudi when they're still playing at their best. I never like those sort of moves, but it seems like he thinks that's the best move for him right now. So yeah, I mean, we wish him the best, I guess. Chelsea, they could potentially be rivaling Juventus for Jadon Sancho. Just when you thought, wow, Chelsea, great performance, get on the headlines for some good, for the first time, they want to rival that with this sort of news, that they're considering, battling Juventus for Jadon Sancho. United, they're allowing him. They're willing to sell him before this Friday's transfer deadline. Juventus, they've had some initial talks with Manchester United, but they have not reached any sort of agreement. Chelsea have also been rumored that they're considering him as an option. He was sort of an option for them last season. They weren't able to get it over the line though last season. Now they've came back for it. We know it's been we know it's been out there that he's Sancho did initially grow up a Chelsea fan living in London. So maybe there could be interest from Sancho's side. I know from Chelsea's side there's definitely some interest, which I don't understand why, because you already have Pedro Neto at the club. You have Pedro Neto, Noni Madueke, Cole Palmer, Nkunku, João Felix, Mikhailo Mudryk, who I was very critical of in that first segment, but that's sort of a player, it's still a little too early to just completely give up on him, which you essentially might be doing if you're willing to bring in someone like Jadon Sancho, because you're really slashing the legs of Mikhailo Mudryk at that point, because you're taking away like the last sort of available minutes for him if Jadon Sancho's at the club. And if you genuinely expect Jadon Sancho to come in and be a factor for Chelsea, you're sort of saying to Cole Palmer, not to Cole Palmer, to Mikhailo Mudryk, you're just not in the plans, you're not good enough anymore, which is not really, good business for Chelsea, to say the least. But it makes no sense to me why Chelsea are in for him. They already have too much attackers as it is. And, for Chelsea, it's about building continuity now. And, bringing in someone else just, is the opposite of that, and makes it even more difficult to build sort of continuity at the club. I'm trying to see. There was some transfer news going on. We know it's always going to be big in terms of transfer news. Atletico Madrid, they're plotting a move for Matias Nunez from Manchester City. Atletico Madrid, they're looking at a loan move potentially for the 28-year-old, which could be, which would be the second transfer from Manchester City to Atletico Madrid this season, actually, with Atletico Madrid being able to land Julian Alvarez earlier this transfer window. Manchester City, the decision is up to them, really. They haven't not really indicated whether or not they're allowing Nunez to leave or not. And yeah, that's going to be interesting. He hasn't really had, the sort of amount of games that maybe he's wanted since being at Manchester City. He hasn't been able to really, cement a spot in the, first team. And, I think being able to go to a team like Atletico Madrid, I think he'll get a lot more minutes, a lot more games played. And yeah, I think that'd be a good move for him. And that'd be something I'd push for if I was him. But yes, guys, that's all we got for y'all today, guys. Thank y'all for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us. So, subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also ask y'all to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more updates. Thank you, guys, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to